Misclicked. Welcome everybody. Welcome Hila.
Hi, Luca. I'm good.
Awesome. Apologies everybody for being slightly late. We'll wait a few more seconds to let everybody roll in. In the meantime, feel free to say hi in the chat. Tell us where you're joining from. Always good to see where everybody is. We're also live on the YouTube channel. Yeah, there you go. So if you guys have any questions, the YouTube channel, just also drop them in the chat, but even better, drop them in the Q&A functionality. Hey, Juliette, because then we can queue them and people can upvote them, and it's just a little bit easier that way. As usual, this has been recorded. We'll send the recording alongside useful links and resources and Hila slides tomorrow. So don't go crazy on taking notes or anything. We'll send everything your way. Oh, Gil from Israel. That's where you are, Hila.
Hi, Gil.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think with that, we're already a couple of minutes in, so we can get rolling. Hila?
Cool. Let me show
yours.
Slides. Okay, you can see it, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna start, and I apologize in advance if there are a little bit noises in the background. I have some noisy neighbors. Okay, so this talk will be about incident management, talk the talk and walk the walk when it comes to that. And when I was in high school, the common belief was that if you actively listen in class, you'll have 50% of the exam prep already in your pocket. I want to show you how I adopted this belief to an actual proactive approach that you could take that will help you manage incidents more efficiently in a more structured way and eventually preserve much needed hours of sleep because we all want to sleep properly. But first of all, hi, my name is Hila Fish. I'm a senior DevOps engineer and I work for Wix. I have 15 years of experience in the tech industry, which means a lot of production incidents. Recently, I have joined the AWS Community Builder program. I help organize conferences in Israel, where I live, DevOps Days Tel Aviv and Startup Monitoring Convention. I'm a mentor in courses and communities, including communities for women in tech and technical women in tech. I'm a DevOps culture fan. I think this is what helps companies achieve great things. And I'm a lead singer in a cover band, as you can see in this picture. Trust me, it is a lot of fun. If you like it, follow your dreams. Okay, so the agenda for today is to discuss incident management. First of all, the mindset that you should have when dealing with production incidents, then a structural process of how to deal with incidents, followed by a little bit of qualities that you should have and maintain to be a better incident manager. And finally, the proactive approach on your day-to-day and after the fact, after an incident took place, that will help you come prepared for any incident. So first of all, incident management, right? Let's talk and have a frame to it. So it is a set of procedures and actions taken to resolve critical incidents. So it's basically an end-to-end process that defines how incidents are detected and communicated, who is responsible to handle them, what tools are used to investigate and respond, and what steps are taken for a resolution. And when we come to think about incident management, we need to really reframe our perspective because, as we know, working enough years in the industry, me and probably you too as well, we all know that everything fails, right? All the time. So since failures are a given, we can't be in an ad hoc putting out files kind of a mindset, right? We need to reframe it to a structured process that takes into consideration that, okay, this happens. I'm aware that this could happen and it actually happened. Now I'm prepared to deal with it. So the thing about it is that business mindset is really needed in order to grasp the overall impact of incidents and mitigate damages accordingly. Because without a proper incident management process, you will potentially lose valuable data. Downtime could lead to reduced productivity and revenues, and the business could be held liable for breach of service level agreements because every company has its own, 8 nines, 11 nines SLAs. So it's very important to treat incident management with all seriousness. So that's why we should have a structured process along with our business mindset that will help us mitigate any issues. And structured process could lead to incident prevention, to improved mean time to resolution, and eventually to cost reduction because downtime was reduced or eliminated entirely. So wait, a structured process of an incident, how could it be? Because incident is an unknown. Sometimes it's something big, sometimes it's small. I don't know what's going to happen, what could affect, right? So how can a lot of unknowns be in a structured thing, right? So it is possible to have a structured process for an incident. And basically, these are the pillars that are a part of that structure. You can read about it more in the reference that I put in the link. But basically, there are 5 pillars: identification and categorization, notification and escalation, investigation and diagnosis, resolve and recovery, and incident closure is also a pillar, and there are things that needs to be done upon incident closure. So let's cover each one. And during an incident, we should really keep calm and ask ourselves, and I'm also gonna address the keep calm thing, but we need to ask ourselves these questions that will help us gain ability to be towards resolution faster. So first of all, in the identification and categorization section, do I understand the full extent of the problem? If so, awesome, I can dive right in and notify people as needed. But if not, I should gather more information that will help me understand the full extent and help me understand that if I need to notify people, if this could wait for next time and for business hours and stuff like that. And in regards to that, can this wait and be handled in business hours? Because maybe we got an alert in the middle of the night and someone didn't classify it properly, and it's not that critical. It's minor, it could wait for business hours. So if we are sure, awesome, we can just wait and have a ticket opened the next day to change the severity of the alert. But if we're not sure, then you should always ask, because it's better to be safe than sorry. Use the information that you have, escalate if needed, and change the severity and the runbook accordingly if you feel something is a bit off. The next question is, was I notified about the issue from the proper and expected channels? If so, awesome. If not, then we should really add a note to self to fix that, because you don't want to get alerts about issues from user complaints, but only from PagerDuty or VictorOps or OpsGenie or stuff like that. The next pillar is notification and escalation. So the question here is, who should be notified about this incident? And we have 2 routes here, during the incident and in general. So during the incident, it should be decided by incident importance. So let's say there's a critical issue, you should probably alert support teams or customer success teams that needs to communicate the issue to customers. And in general, there are sometimes other teams that have an interest in your service that you manage because they use it, right? So other team or key focal points, you should keep them posted about the system's health and status as well. The next pillar is investigation and diagnosis. So we need to understand what information is relevant towards the incident resolution. So we should really focus on what's important currently to fix the issue and what's not. So I can give you an example. I was in a call about an incident, and then people just talked and talked and talked. I'm like, okay, what is, I don't see anything relevant in what you say in order to fix the issue. So let's focus on what matters right now, because focusing on the non-relevant information will throw you off a route and make you lose valuable time, and you don't want to lose any valuable time in an incident, not in the middle of the night and not business hours, because you don't want to lose money for the company and have downtime. And the next question is, did I find the root cause and do I understand the root cause? If so, awesome, great. But if not, I should investigate more and escalate if it takes long to find the root cause. And another thing is that you should really prioritize root causes over service level symptoms. What do I mean by that? Let's say I have an alert, service X stopped on a server. Okay, maybe I'm in the middle of a lot of things. I went to the server, just started to service, and that's that. Sometimes it will be that, and it will be enough, and I'm off the hook. But sometimes I should really understand what's going on, because maybe the service will get stopped again and again and again, and maybe the fact that the service got stopped hides an underlying issue, right? So we should really understand what's going on, because we are DevOps engineers or SREs. We need to understand what's going on in production and are responsible for our system's health. So we need to always prioritize root cause over surface level symptoms, like just stop and start, and that's that. And almost done with all of these sections. Resolve and recovery. I mean, all of these questions are really intended for you to progress according to the plan, and really it will allow you to get faster resolution, because if you are focused on what you need to do, who you need to communicate to, and stuff like that, then you will be able to gain faster resolution of the issue. So resolution and recovery, which possible remediation steps is the best one to take? Maybe I know the issue, I know what needs to be done, and maybe I have a lot of things that I can do in order to fix the issue. So the one that I should take is the fastest solution to eliminate downtime without compromising systems health and stability. Because again, we are responsible for the system health. We don't want to have any band-aid solutions. We want to have a good solution that will make the system stable. So we need to choose the right one that will be fastest, but to eliminate downtime, but without compromising the system's health. Are any action items needed after resolving the issue? Because let's say we found we had several solutions. The more robust one is to change some developers' code, and just a fast fix is to have a patch. And if we're in the middle of the night, maybe a patch is the way to go. So unless, of course, everyone needs to be aware that we did a patch, the team leader needs to approve, everyone is okay with it. If you did a patch, that's okay, but you should always have a ticket to permanently fix the issue, because we always should aim also to prevention of recurring issues. It's always a must. And last but not least, the closure of the issue itself after the entire scenario took place and the issue got resolved. Now, maybe I need to notify anyone on the incident resolution, right? Because at the beginning, maybe I alerted customer success or support teams. Now they need to know the issue got resolved, and the users should know that everything should be back to normal right now. So end-to-end communicator is very, very important here, because not only because they need to know it got back to normal, since it got back to normal, and if it's not, they will alert that, hey, you said it should be okay now, but I still experience issues, stuff that we couldn't know because we don't really use the system. So end-to-end communicator, especially on the closure of the issue, is very, very important. Were the alerts okay, or they need to be tweaked? Like I showed before, maybe the alerts are critical and should be minor, or the other way around, they are minor and should be critical. So if there needs to be tweaked, then please do. Is a relevant incident runbook in place? So for those of you who accidentally don't know, incident runbooks are guides that help you solve an issue that couldn't be immediately solved by auto remediation or stuff like that, because you need some sort of a judgment call here, like if this happens, then I will do X, but if the log shows X, Y, Z, then I should do that. So a lot of judgment is needed, and that's why we have incident runbooks that have like step-by-step what to do. So if you had an issue and you had an incident runbook, maybe it's not updated. If not, then update it. And if there is no incident runbook, then you should write a runbook yourself. And of course, can I help prevent similar incidents from happening again? Because I had a lot of issues where I noticed something that is not quite configured properly, or I had an idea that this could help fix something or make it better, right? So if you have these kind of epiphanies during the incidents, or you notice something that is quite off, then you can definitely open a ticket about it and help prevent the next incident. And of course, post-mortem. So post-mortem is when you have usually a critical incident, and then you need to have like a lessons learned and see what went well in the process and what not. So if the incident is requires a post-mortem, jot down the notes as soon as possible while it's still fresh in your mind, because I think that everyone agrees that we remember things better at the time of when it happens, and not another day ahead or 2 days ahead. So, but I will also give you another legitimate reason to do that. So there was a study conducted by Bluma Zagernik, who is a Russian psychologist. She found that we remember more details during ongoing scenarios rather than upon their completion. So in favor of a better post-mortem process, write down the notes as soon as possible. And even if post-mortem is not needed, still share the knowledge either through a runbook or a daily brief, because everyone can learn from your experience. Okay, so that was the structure of the incident. And this is basically what I do when I have an incident, and I always ask myself these questions and follow this path in order to gain faster resolution. But let's talk about war room conduct. War room is when you have a critical issue that involves more than 2, 3, 4 people, and then it could be messy, right? Because there are a lot of people get involved, everyone pulls to their own direction. So in a war room, you should always have an incident manager that divide the work, tell people what to do. They should be calm and collected, see things clearly, and not afraid to reduce people's involvement if it doesn't serve the purpose. And I'm gonna show you an example about that. So in one of my previous companies, I was new at the job, like I think 1 month in, something like that. And there was a big critical issue. There was a war room got happening, and it was in Zoom. So I joined the Zoom. I was quiet because, hey, I'm only a month in, right? I can't really contribute much. They know all the flows. So I waited it out, and I saw that nothing happens. He talks about that. He talks about that. He pulls to that direction. He pulls to that direction. And no, we don't have any progress on the incident itself. At that point, I was like, okay, guys, just wait a second before, wait. Let me try to help and clear some fog. And then I basically became the incident manager, even though I haven't done anything much at that company because I was new, but still I was able, since I was looking at things from above and I saw who deals with what, I told this guy, okay, you check the logs and check for X. You said that we need to, the application needs to go up in a certain way, right? There isn't a runbook for that, right? Please write a runbook so we know how to start the application in the right process. So I became the incident manager, and from that point on, stuff started to progress towards the actual resolution. So, and another thing is that really, if there are a lot of people and you all maybe called someone to do a certain thing, if he finished to do that certain thing, thank you, go away. You don't need to be here right now because too many people gets too noisy. So try to keep it minimal and dynamic as much as possible. Okay, so we talked about the structured process. We talked about war room. Let's talk about necessary qualities for an incident manager. There are a lot of qualities, of course, but I want to drill down to several because I have some tips to share with them, and because I think they are needed for to be an incident manager, because it is something that it could be complex at times. So the first thing is to think on your feet, impromptu action taker. Sometimes the issue will be something that you're familiar with, and sometimes it will be something that is in an uncharted territory. You need to think on your feet and be ready for anything. And in order to practice that, you should participate in brainstorming sessions whenever possible at work, because these sessions of brainstorming are like ping pong scenarios. So this could help you practice this quality and help you think on your feet. Differentiate between relevant and non-relevant information. As I told you before, I had a lot of cases where people just talked and talked and talked, and I didn't felt like I can take anything valuable, or valuable for this point in time, of course, for the incident itself. I couldn't take anything, and then you should really get focused on what's needed to fix and understand the root cause of the incident that is in front of you. And another thing is that basically, the more you know how a system works, the more your ability to separate the relevant from the relevant information increases. So in order to be better in differentiate relevant to non-relevant information, just be more and more familiar with the system that you're handling at work, understand the flows, learn them, and that way you'll be able to manage it better. Operate under pressure. So another story from work. Another company that I worked for, and I was also new there, it was my first on-call shift. And then there was a big issue. Like, I think it was 100 or 200 alerts on pager duty. And I was new, so I don't know still what to do and how to handle that. So I called the guy from my team. He was there 2 years, I believe. I called him, sat next to me, and I'm like, okay, what should we do? What is my next, the first step to handle and to know what's going on? And then I remember when I asked this question, I looked at the screen and I hear no response. And then I looked at him and he's like that, like shocked. And he's like, so many alerts. He was just totally shocked about the amount of alerts. And then I remember I just did like, dude, snap out of it. It doesn't help anyone. Snap out of it and let's start and deep dive in order to understand what's going on. Okay, so, but the thing is that you can say that you can't control how you behave under stress, but you should remember that stress is a symptom of being out of control. And collection of relevant data will help you decrease stress levels, because when you know what to do, you're in control. So if this guy would see the alert is about XYZ, and that thing was usually his like specialty, he dealt with it a lot, then you'll know, okay, when this alert happens, XYZ. But no, he didn't even dwell on that. He was just focused on the amount of alerts, and that's that. So in order to be in control and reduce your stress levels, just be as much as integrated in your workflows and in the knowledge in your team as much as possible. And in general, keep a cool head and snap out of uncertainty cloudiness, because it will help you in incidents. Okay, so methodical work, time is of the essence, right? When handling incidents and there is a pressure to solve things fast, methodical work will help you gain faster incident resolution. That's why the way to handle incidents that I showed you is structured, because structure always helps with faster incident resolution, in my opinion. The next quality that I want to share with you is to be humble and ask for help, because you want to shine, right? Everyone wants to shine in their work. They want to be good at what they do, and they think that, oh, now there's an incident, I will be the hero, I will save the day. But then their ego goes in the way and they don't know what to do, and they're just, no, I will fix it, and valuable time gets lost, and downtime is still there, and the company loses a lot of money. So it's okay not to know how to fix an issue on your own. You have a lot of opportunities to prove yourself on your day-to-day. So the best way to prove yourself on incidents is to take a step back when you don't know what to do and escalate an issue that you can't resolve on your own. Because that way you have the business interest in heart. As I mentioned before, the business mindset, people will value you much more. As I mentioned in my war room story, I didn't actually help with technical bits, but I understood the people, I saw the communication between them, and I'm like, okay, you deal with that, and that I could be of a service to the company. So do whatever you need in order to help your company. If you can't help, that's okay, just take a step back and escalate. This is the best thing that you can do for your company. A problem solver, so it's pretty straightforward. If you have a can-do approach and whatever needed scenarios, then you'll be able to face anything, because when we are positive and we think that we can do things, as opposed to negative and no, we can't, or this is impossible, stuff like that, positive things always allow us to do great things. Sense of ownership and initiative. So let's say you did escalate an issue, right? You don't just forget about it after you escalate an issue. You're still on call and you're responsible for the incident, even though you're not the person that is specifically now checking the issue. So even if you escalated an issue, check with this person, see if they are really on top of it. Maybe there was a short in communication and they didn't understand that you need them to check something. This could happen. So check they are on it, check status after 10 or 15 minutes, because not everyone are communicative enough to tell you that, yeah, I progress with that, blah, blah. They just keep quiet. A lot of people are like that. So be proactive, ask them what's going on, what's the status, because you are on call, you are responsible for the system health. So if you escalated, make sure that things are really being handled. Yeah. And good communicator, as I mentioned before, in incidents, we always need to communicate things. We need to explain the issue to others helping out. We need to communicate the issue for escalation purposes, for support teams. So communication, I can't stress it enough, is very, very important. And let's say you are not good at communication. That's okay. Communication guidelines can be established. So if you don't know who to communicate to or what to do, then these guidelines can define what channels should be used, what content is expected in those channels, and how communication should be documented. And that way you know exactly who should you communicate things to and how. Lead without authority, this is more relevant in a war room scenario, so because you need to lead others. So if you're nice and confident and you make people feel at ease and project and everything under control kind of a facade, then people will listen to you and follow your lead. And in the middle of everything is caring. You can't do anything. You don't take care of your production environment, and you don't do anything if you don't care. So it's not something that you can change or improve. It's something that either happens or not. But if you feel that you don't care, put that in check, because the basis of everything is to care about what we do. So if you're not, maybe you should switch jobs. But if you do care, then everything else will fall into place, because this is the base for everything. Okay, so we talked about the mindset. We talked about the incident flow, a structured way to handle that, right? Let's get to the main, not the main, but the cherry on top, how you can be proactive in your day-to-day and after an incident took place that will help you come prepared for incidents. Because as the Fugees song, ready or not, here you can hide, right? So it doesn't really matter if you're ready or not, they will find you. PagerDuty, Ops Genie, Victor Ops, it doesn't matter. You should be ready for anything that comes your way. So what can you do? After the fact, after an incident took place, on-call shifts handoffs. I'm not sure if it's something that is done in every company. Maybe, yeah, maybe not, I'm not sure. But it means that, let's say I finished a shift, I write like a summary of what happened. If I had recurring issues, if there was a critical something that needs to be to pay attention to or monitor over a few hours. Maybe there was something that was new, and I wrote a run book about it. So I will put it in the summary as well, that I added a run book, or I will write a run book for an incident that happened, right? So it's a summary. And the purpose of the summary is for audit purposes, because we post these summaries in Slack. I mean, this is what we did. And for the team member success, because if I put a summary of what happened, the next person after me who will be on call will read it and say that, okay, he knows now what happens in production. He knows what happened. He knows if changes occurred. He knows if there was a recurring issue that he needs to be pay attention to it, right? So on-call shift handoffs are very, very important things to do. So I really encourage you to do it, because if you know what happens in production and know of previous alerts, then you will come prepared for other for your on-call shift afterwards. Post-mortem notes, as I mentioned before, write the notes as soon as possible. And even if there is no post-mortem meeting, still do a mental check, do a retrospective with yourself, see what you could have done better. New tasks. We want to always prevent the next incident from happening to stabilize the environment. So if you found stuff that you can do, create new tasks for them and implement, of course, not just sending it to backlog. And then once you do more and more things to stabilize the environment, then you know what happened and which changes occurred, and the environment will be more stable, and then probably or hopefully less incidents will happen. Modify alerts, I mentioned it before, so fix false positive alerts, either the severity, or I think that a lot of people experienced alerts that fired and then after a couple of minutes get closed, right? I experienced it, I think, on every company that I worked for. So fix those false positive alerts, please, and don't wait for the on-call to do it, because maybe they will wait for the on-call to do it and they will wait for the on-call to do it, and then it will never happen. So please don't wait and fix the alerts yourself. Incident runbooks, as I mentioned, if there are not incident runbooks in place, write them down and update existing runbooks. That way, on a lot of alerts and incidents, you will already know what to do because there are runbooks in place. And of course, what I say here is not only for you, it's for all your team members. So in case you don't have runbooks, please take it for your team members and have them know about it as well. Automation, let's say some stuff are not, it does not need runbooks. It's always the same output and the same behavior. So they are a perfect candidate for self-remediation. So if so, you can actually do auto-remediation and fix those issues in advance. And if an issue handled, share the knowledge, because, and more in depth than in an on-call handoff, because there it's only summary, because a lot of people can learn from your line of thought and how you experience things. So sharing the knowledge is always a blessing, because people can learn from it and come prepared for the next on-call shift, because they knew how you dealt with something, and maybe they will have to face this thing as well. So that was after an on-call issue took place. Now let's talk about the things that you can do on your day-to-day that will help you come prepared for incidents. So on-call shifts handoffs, it's not only writing your shift on your shift summary, it's to read all of the ongoing basis summaries, like the entire team summaries. Why? Because production happens all the time, right? Not only when you're on call. So your only way, or your most only way to understand what's going on in production is to read the summaries, and then you'll know what incident happened and stuff like that. So it shouldn't take long. It should be like a summary. So it's a low effort, high value kind of thing, in my opinion. Escalation point of contacts. So let's say, and I assume that you support several services at work, right? And you know the needed pieces of information related to your realm. For example, my realm is infrastructure, but we should also know other realms as well to have the full picture. So let's say there's an issue with X. I've checked my side of things. Everything looks good. But I know that John is the one that is handling X from the side of the code. So I should escalate to him to check things on his end. So that's the thing, that identifying services escalation points on a day-to-day basis and not only ad hoc when the incident occurs will save time and money on incident management and save someone else's hours of sleep. Because if I don't know who to escalate to, I need to wake up my team member or my team leader and ask who's responsible for X, and they wouldn't like that. And I also don't want to interrupt others' sleep, right? So if you will identify these people in advance, who's responsible for which services, then it will help you come prepared and know exactly who to escalate to and not waste time during the incident searching and chasing this information. Understand system and system architecture. So if you know the weaker areas and vulnerabilities of your systems and sensitive and blast radius scopes, then you will be able to know and handle things during an incident, because you know that, okay, yeah, this is like something that usually fails. We are already on it with the developers, or we need to take it with the developers, or we know that this kind of vulnerability is X. So understanding what's going on and really understanding the system architecture will really help you fix any issues that will happen in those realms. Learn application flows is basically coupled with the previous one, because if you know the application flows, first of all, you know the business impact and you know to who to escalate, because if I know that service X communicates to Y to Z, then I can also do the troubleshooting and debugging based on that flow, and then check the logs here. I see nothing happens here, check there, and then on that level, I know, oh, I found the issue, right? So if I know the flows, I know how to debug, and I know how to escalate and to escalate, so it will be very helpful during an incident. Team members' tasks. So production changes, even if I don't do things by myself, right? As I mentioned before, it doesn't matter if I did the deployments and changes in production, or if someone in my team introduced something during a routine task. I need to know about it. I need to get involved and be aware of the latest changes that could rock the boat, and learn how their tasks or the changes affect production. Because if not, then again, I'm losing visibility of what's going on in production, and it's not good, because again, production is not what I do solely. It's about what my other team members do and change in production as well. And last but not least, be a go-to person. So as they say, if you build it, they will come. That way, if you are a go-to person, which means people value your knowledge and your approach to things, then you will get push notifications, and people will come to you and update you on things that happen in production, and it will decrease the need, your need to fetch the updates on your own. So to sum things up, in order to talk the talk and walk the walk when it comes to incident management, have your qualities in check. If you're stressed out, you can work on that, as I mentioned before. Have the process structured and be proactive, and that way you will come prepared to any incident that will cross your way and prevent the next incident from happening, hopefully. And remember, less incidents means less downtime, means business success, and business success is eventually your success. So thank you so much. And if you have questions, I'm here. Okay, there are a lot of things in the chat. Let's see. Luca, can you help me facilitate for a bit?
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hila. There's a massive lag.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, so Gil in the chat was, so Gil from Israel was asking how much time for investigation in terms of normal time. So maybe we can start from that and then we go to the rest.
Sure. So if it's a non-critical issue, like something minor, then take your time, because no one is quite affected. So you can even take it as an experience of learning, and you have the time to do it. But if it's a critical incident, you should really focus on that and have your business mindset in place, and understand that if you take your time, it will affect the company's revenues and it will have downtime. So it's very hard to say, you know, like in a matter of minutes, but I would say like it's a matter of a feeling. If you have leads, you know that, okay, I need to check this and this and this and that, and you exhaust these options, that's okay. But if you're lost, then give yourself a couple of minutes to recuperate. And if you don't have any other ideas, escalate. So for me, it will be not a matter of time, it will be a matter of a feeling and how many leads do I have towards troubleshooting something.
Azure is asking, what's the recommended frequency of communication to stakeholders while incident management investigation is in progress? There are a couple of answers from Andrew and Graham, but maybe you can chime in.
So recommended frequency of communication. Okay. I can also give an example for that. In one of my first companies that I worked for, there was a critical issue, like when we see in IT crowd, when people are on the computer and people are surrounding them and doing nothing, just looking. So, okay, if you don't interrupt me, it's still stressful to have you on my head, but still. But then the NOC manager every couple of minutes come and ask, what's up? And I'm like, listen, I'm the one that having the issue. I can't just leave the computer and like, instead of being focused on that, stop everything and okay, let's go through of what's going on, right? I need to fix the issue. So there should be a level of understanding between the people that handle the issue and the people that wait for a status. Okay, so if they are fully aware of a production incidents and what does it mean to handle a production incident, then I assume they won't bug you a lot. So if they don't bug you a lot, then the way to communicate is in each milestone, I would say, like I found the root cause, I'm fixing it. I can't fix the root cause because it's I need to wait for a port opening. The developer said that it could be fixed better. I'm giving him a couple of minutes to check if it could be handled quickly or not. So I would divide it by milestones. And if something takes time, let's say after escalation, after stuff like that, if something takes time, just do like thank you for waiting, we're still checking, because they need to understand that we are still on it and we didn't forget about it or something like that. So I would say milestones plus with a hand on the pulse and understand that they're waiting for updates, and just tell them
The pulse,
yeah, and just tell them that we don't have an update yet, but we are working on that and we will let you know.
Veronica asking, what is your opinion using Kanban for incident management?
Sorry, you were cut off a bit.
What is your opinion using Kanban for incident management?
In which context?
I'm guessing probably referring to Jira would be my guess.
So, I mean, this is what every time I said tasks in the presentation, right, I meant Jira. So if I found something that could be improved, I should open a Jira about it. Of course, not in the middle of the incident. Always when it happens to me, I just have like notes on the side. I write 2-3 words that will remind me to do it, and that's that. And then after incident finished, then I go and open either Jira tickets for fixing something or improving a process or tweaking an alert or stuff like that. So yeah, that's for me basically that.
Yeah. Yeah, Veronica, I mean, feel free to chime in if we didn't answer. So Sergio, how do you measure the impact time? So when the first alert happened or when the customers start getting a real error, which tools do you suggest to have an accurate impact time measure and therefore a good communication?
Interesting question. Usually, I was always the hands-on person, okay, and always the impact is more of a managerial thing, I would say. So all deriving conclusions from and creating statistics for alerts were done by my team leader. So I can't really say or add about that, but I can try and talk to my team leader and see if they have something to add. Good question. It's not something that I was too exposed in my role or any roles.
Thomas, are there any kind of playbook templates you can recommend, or are they too different from company to company?
It's funny that you asked, because on November, I'm gonna deliver a talk about technical documentation. So you can basically apply that as well. It should always start with a context, then main concepts like background that I need, or links that I need to know, or I assume that the reader knows in order to do something. Like, let's say there's an issue with system X, then I will put a link to what is this system, because if you don't know, then you can't really handle that incident without knowing the system. So intro, then main concept, like a background, and then the actual instructions, ABC. So if I need to think about a template, it would be that, but always it should be break down as much as possible. If it's too complex, break it down to several run books, like how to connect to X, or if it's like an event of its own. But if it's needed for the actual resolution of the issue, then put it in the same incident, as long as you have table of contents that I can in order to just, let's say I know already how to connect, but I need the other section, so I can, as long as it's structured properly, then I can be able to find quickly the section that I need.
Absolutely. All right, Vivian, what are your thoughts about observability tools and open telemetry to help with incident management?
I haven't had experience with it myself. There are a lot of talks, conference talks out there. So if you're really interested in that, you can just check them out. Just search for OpenTelemetry on YouTube. You will find a lot of conference talks. I worked in a lot of companies who never utilized OpenTelemetry. I don't say it's a good thing. I don't say it's a bad thing. I just say that I don't have experience with that.
Yeah, and we actually hosted a couple of those as well. We had I think the founder of OpenTelemetry and a couple of other guys. So you can also see them on our.
So answer the question. You can answer the question.
No, I can't answer the question. Raymond, I mean, so Hila, did you see the major outage of Azure last week?
No, fortunately, I work on AWS, so I don't care. Sorry, I can't say the recording. I'm less familiar with things that happen on other cloud providers because I work with AWS.
Yeah, so I mean, here it's maybe you can answer, maybe not. So last week it happened due to a system DNS update on Ubuntu. What annoyed me the most was that the communication was not small updates, but rewriting previous reports. And they were done when they were done after 2 days. The incident was vanished, like it never happened. So I guess, how would you have handled that, and would have you done anything different?
So first of all, it doesn't sound like they have a system, like a system health page. They should have, and because usually you have like a system page that have a health status of all services that they provide, and then you can go to this page and see if this service is up or not. So it's strange. I don't know if they have it or not, but usually big cloud providers have it, GCP have it, AWS have it. And in regards to communication, you put me in this entirely separate, like being a cloud provider, but how would I do it? As far as I know, cloud providers have technical project managers that they have and assigned for a lot of companies that they work with, and they have, as long as they have a certain amount of usage on the cloud provider, then there's a technical account manager that works closely with that company. So if that outage was as big as you described, I would communicate it to all technical managers and have them communicate it to the companies they work with in order to let them know that the issue got resolved or what happened there, because this is the, the minimum they owe as a consumers. And of course,
sorry.
And of course, I can't find another word other than debut. It's not a debut, but publish publicly. A lot of companies that really respect themselves have like a post-mortem publicly. GitHub had a very big outage a couple of years ago. They had a public article, published about it, and they explained what happened and what they did about it, and took full ownership. Also Facebook. So they should always be as much as public as possible, because things fail. That's okay. Everything fails all the time. It's okay. We all know that. And the only thing that you can do about it is take ownership. That's it.
Totally. I guess we can end on one to follow up in action items that are raised during accidents or incidents. Usually they can go to some sort of limbo due to, for instance, product prioritization. So who's responsible to track their progress?
If I have if I found some things that I should improve and I opened Jira tickets for them, then the responsibility is for the team leader. The same as team leader responsibility is to divide the work between all the team members. It's the same thing. It's just another task. It's not a task that came from developers or QA or other stakeholders. It came from me, but still a task. So once the ticket is up there, then and the team leader is aware of a new task, then he or she or they needs to just divide the work as usual.
Totally. Awesome. I think that was it. I mean, there was a lot of thank yous in the chat as well. So I think people really enjoyed it. So thank you again, Hila. This was great. And I'll just drop in here for everybody the link to the Slack. That's where I tagged you, Hila. So it's probably going to be a thread of people jumping in, asking extra questions. So if you have any more questions that you couldn't think of right now, feel free to go and ask them there. And yeah, see you at the next one. And Hila, see you around. Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem. Thanks for joining.